Alright, so just to quick finish what I was talking about when I got cut off in my last video. If you want a 5-6, you're going to need 8 to 11 landforms, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And if you want a 7-8, you're going to need 12 or more landforms. Okay, so these first 7, you can include all of them, or you can include just some of them. Okay, you want to probably try to get, I would say, 4, 5, or 6 of these. And then the other landforms will just be added with color when we color in like the mountain range and the canyon and those kinds of things. Okay, so we'll show you that later. But your first goal is to get 2 identical copies of your draft. The draft doesn't count as one. So 2 more copies of this onto your other sheets of paper. Okay, so I'm going to kind of use this first one as a guide. The first one does not need to be perfect onto the other ones, but the other 2 copies should be exact copies of each other. So here's how I'm going to do that. Okay, the first one's going to be my guide. So I'm just kind of setting it over to the side right here so I can kind of copy it, but not trace it. So it's just right here to the side of my workstation. Okay, and I'm just going to make one perfect good copy of it. And then I'm going to make an identical copy, and so I'll show you the difference there. So this one just needs to be close to that other one. And I just want to make sure I include the same landforms. Okay? The other thing I really want to do is make sure I go close to the edge of my paper. Here's an example of what I mean by that. On this one, this person went close to the edge on all the sides, kind of within a finger's width of the edge on all the sides. Now you're not going to get that on all the sides, but you should be able to get that on most sides. It's kind of like I'm zooming into this picture and making it as big as I can. So you want to say, I'd say 2 or 3, probably 3 sides at least, you want to be within a finger's width of that edge. Okay? And maybe not on the other side. Now mine will probably reach, honestly, all 4 sides, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to start, again, I'm looking at my copy that I have here to kind of make sure I include those landforms. So I'm going to start near this top corner, and I'm just going to kind of draw. And remember, I don't want it to be perfectly straight because continents wouldn't look like that. Okay, and then I remember that my cut comes over here, kind of comes down, and then kind of comes out. All right, I might stop there and bring the other one to it. Okay, here's my goal. Doesn't need to be perfectly matching my other one because this is just my perfect one that I'm making from my draft. And then here, this came in a little more, made my isthmus here. This side just went straight down. This side came back out. And then I have all my fjords, which I can make however I want to. Again, they don't need to match my other one. Okay, and you can see that on all 4 sides I got close to the edge. I don't want to touch the edge. That's not what a map does, but I zoomed in on this as much as I could. Okay, now I don't want to forget about my archipelago that I had up here. Okay, and I'm not going to write any words on this yet. This is just going to be completely blank. So there's one good copy. Okay? I have one perfectly drawn. This is exactly what I want it to look like. Okay? Does it look exactly like my draft? No. My islands look different up here. This area looks different. Okay? But this is my one good copy. So now my draft kind of becomes irrelevant. I don't need it anymore. Okay? This is my new piece of paper. I need 2 perfect copies of this. Okay? So I'm going to move this sheet under, and I'm going to trace exactly that one behind it. I want my papers lined up perfectly, okay? And I want to trace this so that these copies match perfectly, okay? So I'm going to look at all the things, and if it gets to a part where I don't know if I can see exactly what it looks like, I just hold it up to the light, and then I can kind of see it. If you keep the papers together and you hold them up a little bit, like a corner up, you kind of let some light behind them. That helps. Some other things that I've seen students do is turn their computer on and turn their screen really bright and kind of put this on top. That's fine too, but you want to be very careful so you're gentle to the computer. But that will shine some light through and make sure that it's easy to see through. Because I want this tracing to match exactly my other one. Because when we see like two maps of South America, a political and a physical, right next to each other, they look exactly the same. They are identical with each other. Okay, you also don't want to have a ton of erase marks on this. So if you do make mistakes, that's okay. You just want to go back and fix them. If you can erase and not see it, that's fine. Otherwise, maybe just start over on a new piece of paper. So I'm just going to keep going with mine. You are welcome to not pay attention to me anymore and just do your own, but I do not want you just drawing it again. I really want you to create identical copies. Okay? That is really important that they are perfectly copied. Okay, and now if they make a little mistake here or there, am I really going to care? No, but I don't want to see it. I often see students who are like, oh, I'm just going to draw it again, and they draw it again, and it doesn't look exactly the same, and that is going to hurt your grade, because that's kind of part of the requirements, is that these things look the same, exactly the same. Okay, and again, a little bump here or there, if you miss one little thing tracing, I'm not going to care, but if it is clear that you just drew it again and tried to match it, and you weren't tracing, then that will be a different story. Okay, because these maps should be the same. Now, if you did this digitally, if you did figure out a way to do this digitally, you could probably just click make a copy of it. Okay, also if you have a copy machine at home, which you might have on your printer if you have one, I don't think I do, but if you do, then you could use that and you can make a copy. So think about different ways. It doesn't have to be exactly tracing it, but that is the way that we're doing it in class, and that is the way that we've always done that. So it doesn't mean it's the right way, just how we've done it. So I'm going to kind of go through here and trace all my fjords perfect, and then come back and do that from the other side. I generally do the easy parts first and save the hard parts for last, just because it makes me feel more done. So feel free to skip past this video part if you have already done yours, or pause it while you do yours and then skip it, but you certainly don't need to watch me trace all this. And all I have left are my islands up here. Okay, so if you have not finished yours, that's okay. You can pause this and wait till you finish yours, but I have two identical copies, okay? They are perfect copies of each other because I traced it, so all the lumps and bumps are the same, all the islands should look the same. They're not like, hey, that looks close, but like they are perfect traces of each other. So that's what I want you to do, okay? And that's the first step. So go ahead and do that, and unpause the video when you're ready for the next step. Alright, the next step here is simply preparing these maps before we start working on them. We want to get a couple things on here, and that is finding places for our title, compass, and key. Okay, those are three things that are on the rubric that you need to include. Okay, title, compass, key. So my picture here kind of gives me a good chunk of room for some of those things. I have room for the title and the compass and the key, and I also have some extra space down here. So I can kind of separate those. What I'll probably do is do my title nice up here, maybe squeeze the compass in. Oh, maybe that's going to be a good place for a label. So maybe just down here I'll put my compass and my key, because I know I don't really have any landforms currently right here. I know my bay is here, my isthmus is here, but that can be labeled there. So I don't have anything that needs to be labeled right here, whereas I do have things up here, my bay and stuff. So I'm going to put my compass and key here and my title here. So kind of figure out where you're going to do it. And now this also needs to be the same on both of them. Okay, so if we look at a map in our textbook, and I'm not going to pull it up right now, but you could pull that up. The link's on our Google Classroom. Actually, I showed you how to get to the textbook the other day. But anyways, if I pulled up a textbook map, I could see the compass on one map is in the same place on the other map. Okay, the title on one map is in the same place on the other map. Okay, so you're going to pick which one's going to be your political and which one's going to be your physical map. So I'm just going to pick randomly. It really doesn't matter. I'll make this top one my political map and the bottom one my physical map. I got to come up with some sort of name for it. Let's just go with Thoria. That sounds fun. So Thoria, I'm going to write this nice and neat. Okay. Thoria political map. And in the same place on my other map, I'm going to put that title there too. That one's physical map. Okay, so go ahead and select a name, get a title on both your maps. Pause the video if you haven't done that. I'm going to keep going. Okay, next thing I need is a compass. Now on most maps, north is up, so I'm going to keep that habit with mine. Okay, now you could look on Google and you could find a fancy compass if you want to and kind of try to copy it. Okay, I've seen a lot of people do some fancier compasses. If you go to images, they'll do something that kind of looks like this one or that one. Okay, or some people just do basic ones. This is kind of up to you. I think a lot of people do something like that. So if you want to do it, some of these cooler compasses, that's totally fine. Okay, I'm not going to limit you or stop you. But if you want just a simple compass, you're not going to get scored on how creative your compass is. Okay, but so yeah, just kind of think about that. What do you want your compass to look like? I think I'm going to kind of change my mind and put my compass in this top area here on both my maps. So I don't think I'm going to need any label here, and just kind of fills that space nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll just do, I think I'm just going to do a pretty simple compass with an arrow on it. And label it. I'll put in these other pieces here. If I wanted to label them, I could, but I just show that they're there. So north is up on mine. Now your compass, like I said, should be on the same spot. So I'm going to trace mine just to make sure that I really get it in the same spot. If your compass is a little off and you just kind of redraw it, that is fine for the compass. Okay, the map is really important that you do have that exactly lined up, but the compass is okay to just be redrawn there. That's fine. So I'm just going to trace it so I have it as matched up as I can. Okay. Alright, my political map now needs a key. Go ahead and pause this video if you need to work on your compass. Here's my key, and here's what I do for my key. I'm going to take my draft and do this, but I really want my key, I might move my other map for now. I really want my key to be just nice, kind of straight lines, so I want it to be kind of down here, a little in the corner,